Call this meeting to order. It's the budget meeting of the Borough of River Edge Mayor and Council. It is February 24, 2016. Adequate notice of this meeting has been made by sending notice on December 18, 2015 to the Ridgewood News and the Record, by positioning on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Borough Hall, and filing a notice of the same with the municipal clerk. I would like to remind all members of the public that we have 3 fire exits in our council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. In addition, we are being recorded both by audio and video for purposes of creating a public record during the public portion of the meeting. Alan, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Steve.
Here.
Councilman Morelloni.
Here.
Councilman Papaleo.
Here.
Councilwoman Murphy. Councilwoman Davis. Councilman Aquafina. Mayor Mignon.
Here. Okay, Alan, would you just want to give us an overview where we stand right now?
Yes, this is the log, and we had these changes dated February 20th. So all of these have been incorporated into what we're going to show you tonight. The increase in revenues that we went through on Saturday, and we decreased the capital improvement fund, and we made some of the other changes. The appropriations, where we stand now, the entire budget is up $228,000, about 1.52%. The salaries are still at a little over 4%. The other expenses now are down 0.5%. Going to the homeowner effect, we're at $79 for the typical home of $385,000. It's roughly, remember, each point or cent on the tax rate is $38. So that's the increase that we're looking at this point in time.
Okay. There was one utility account that I had seen. I asked Alan if we can revisit it.
Yes, everybody has a page in front of them. It says account detail on it. And below that it has electric and gas, and I circled a couple of numbers on there, so if you pull that out, please. At the top of the page, well, let's go to that in the budget so we can see where we stand here. Here's the utility, electric, and natural gas. The mayor asked me to take a look at this. The budget from last year was $290,000. The request by DPW is $308,000, and we showed here the paid and committed $237,000. So on this form that we're looking at in front of us, the actual paid or charged without any accounts payable attached to that is the $221,189.36 at the top of the page. We have additional bills that come in January, February of the following year, which get charged back to this budget. So that number, the $221,000, is at December 31st. We haven't booked the commitments, or we didn't book the commitments at December 31 for the utilities. So in addition to those expenses, we had another $39,077.49 come in over the last 2 months against that electric account, electric and gas. In addition, you can see Gita's handwritten note on the lower right-hand side where it says $7,218. That's a bill that is not on the system yet, but will be paid. And in addition, we have probably some smaller accounts coming in for another $1,000. So my tape on the left-hand side, where I added up the 221, the 39, $7,200, and the 1,000, comes to $268,000. So our paid or charge, since that 1,000 is only an estimate, is roughly $270,000. And DPW, we spoke with them. They would request over that $270,000 another $5,000 to make it $275,000. Now, the only thing, we talked to DPW today about, are there any extraordinary uses we might experience in 2016 electric-wise that we didn't have in 2015, which would drive that $275 number up. The only thing that DPW came up with of significance might be the holiday decorations. We have 50 of those that would go on the poles, the decorative poles.
No, those are be considered unmetered, because it's connected to the lights. So there won't be...
So that would be the only thing we would bring to your attention that might be additional if they were metered. So given that, Mayor, you could reduce, and we did a little tape here, from the 308,000 down to 275, that would be a reduction of $33,312.
I would make that motion, Mayor.
Second? Second. Discussion, yeah.
Where did the 308 come from to start?
That's been a number that comes from DPW, and I look back, he's requested that number for the last 4 or 5 years. That's the number he feels comfortable
That's a
with.
swag.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, so we'll put that in right now.
Mayor, can we also look at the utility petroleum products? It looks like,
We had lowered that at one point already, right?
yeah, by 15, but if you just look at it,
What's the line on it?
it's
What was that?
one above.
Right above.
It's right above. We're at 110 now. It looks like last year was 83,973. I mean, gas prices are low.
Mhm.
I don't foresee that there's going to be a huge increase in gas prices. I'm not an expert in commodities market, but
Well, yeah, we
I mean,
probably
I think maybe that's a little bit
Yeah.
too much. I'm not,
How much would you like to?
I was thinking maybe 95,000. It would still be an increase over what came in last year of, about $11,000.
Is that a motion?
Well, I'd make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that was 33, and now we just took down another 15.
Here's your homeowner effect on those 2 changes alone. Paying down $66.
I want to throw, and maybe we don't make a decision on this tonight. We still have close to probably 100,000 in deferred charges unfunded that we're going to be paying. And I don't know whether it makes sense to put that in here now. I don't know whether by not putting it in, it's going to be materially affecting a bond sale in 2 years. So maybe not take it all out, but we might be able to take some of it down, because to me, we put $150,000 in last year. It didn't do anything to materially reduce our debt. And I don't know whether it makes more sense to let the taxpayers have a little bit more relief on this, being that when we roll it all into a bond, it's not going to be, much more significant of a difference. But
So what do you want to reduce it to?
I
Take the whole
didn't give it a whole,
110?
I wouldn't necessarily take the whole thing out, but I would certainly look to reduce it. We have 60, 70, 80,
Well,
or about
if you would take any one of them out, I would take this 1807. I'd like to finish up the old one at 1794.
let's see what the effect of taking that out, Alan, would be if you just took that 25 out.
You went from 66 to 59.
Okay. I'd be comfortable with that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. To me, I'd still like to get us down a little under 50, that's what I'm
Okay.
thinking, but, so another $10, but that's another,
30,000.
Yeah. There's nothing on the revenue side, right, Alan? That could be, can the rut,
Not for $30,000.
could the rut, we're still at 98, or what number do we have?
We're at last year's percentage. If you change that percentage, then you certainly are going to lower the amount of the rut.
Well, but also, won't it naturally come down a little bit since we're lowering the overall budget?
It's down down to 521 from the 522.
That's not much, right? And you've already booked the 25,000 we said take out of capital surplus,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, that's already been reduced.
Alan, on the capital side, did you put in those 20,000 for traffic improvements? You had mentioned in your email that there was an ordinance remaining to do the countdown,
Which
right? Is there any more left?
I don't know if we ever verified that that was there or not.
I think Alan
Yeah, I-
sent an email
Oh, did
saying
you?
it was.
Oh, okay,
So
then I
I
must
wonder
have
what
missed that.
the dollar amount was and if we could use any for there to offset that 20,000.
Here's the traffic improvements
Right.
for
Oh, okay.
$21,000. It's down
Yeah, it's $1,000.
Down payment,
Yeah,
so-
that's not.
Yeah.
That's not going to
But,
help.
The answer is, the mayor was correct that we had amended one of our old ordinances to include within the scope of the Hackensack Avenue work, the countdown timers.
Mhm.
And the language in there, I believe, says for countdown timers on Kinnecamack Road where there are crosswalks.
Right.
The other traffic improvements had a specific street location, an intersection. So you could not use it for just general traffic
Unless we
improvements
amend
unless
the-
you amend the ordinance to include whatever. you
Which we can
want.
certainly
Which is fine,
look
but it's
to-
not going to
yeah.
impact.
If
I
you
was
could do
wondering-
more,
No,
you could
but-
do more countdown timers.
But we could amend it.
Because that Hackensack Avenue was,
Oh.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So there is money
Yeah.
to do more countdown timers.
I just was
That's what
wondering
you
if,
wanna do.
if doing that would impact this in a positive way, but it's
No,
not.
the only other thing we can think about is, I forget how much is left in that Hackensack ordinance. It's several hundred thousand.
$200,000, I think, $300,000-400,000.
Yeah. The question is whether we want to just reappropriate that for the community center.
I think
And-
that's a good
and then
idea personally.
Take it out of this.
Yeah, we haven't heard any movement.
According to, we had through subcommittee this morning, and according to Rob Costa, he didn't think the county was going to go anywhere with that.
So,
Or we can, certainly look to reap up that and maybe just reduce this one here. And I don't know whether we actually still have a final number on the lights yet, what we need to
No.
appropriate, right? But we may have to amend that after we introduce, because we may not have all the information.
but we could do it in two steps. We could reduce that ordinance by a certain dollar amount to apply to the community center and leave some behind. Could do both? Yes? Is that
I'm
what-
sorry, yeah, we could.
Right.
Yes.
That's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah. But that's,
How much is in that? What are we looking at?
well, we put 375.
Right.
There's the community center.
But before we can go to that, I don't expect it to be much. We didn't look at the library budget yet, so we probably just want to take a look at.
Can you cover that there?
Yes, because I believe that's the only.
Everybody has in front of them a horizontal sheet, the upper left in the corner, with a whole one sheet that says library, one-third of mill budget. So what we do on this spreadsheet is, coming across from left to right, we have the salary and wages of the employees, where it says total 2000, it should say 2016 compensation, $455,699. FICA, Social Security, health benefits, net of their copay, pension system, and then their other expense column. And the other expenses is broken down into two parts, $10,000, which is part of their strategic plan, and $111,000, $313, which is the health, which is their budget request for this year, totaling $121,313. So on the right-hand side, you see the grand total. Those total $709,085.16. Lower left-hand corner, you see the third of the mill calculation as provided by the state. This year, for 2016, it's $557,780.28. So the difference is $151,304. We are funding above the mandatory third of the mill for a free public library. In addition, there are some library utilities, some maintenance work that the DPW does. There's also insurance, burglar alarms, garbage, When we calculate all of that, that's an additional $61,407 on top of that. So in essence, although you really can't count those things pertaining to the building and grounds towards the third mill, if you're just looking at, what is the overall expense or cost of the library facility and programs, it's about $212,000 above and beyond the third mill of $557,000.
About $1 million.
And then this year,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Alan, you said 200,000 is the difference?
Yeah, I'm adding in some other things that you don't have on your worksheet there.
Okay.
I'm adding in the library utilities, the maintenance costs, which are on the lower left-hand side of your spreadsheet. But then I also know that there's insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, and a few other things, for which all told is another $61,000.
What's that total?
Yeah, that's,
$212,000 beyond the
the libraries.
557.
I did the same thing before.
And Alan, on the actual
I can't find
appropriations chart, you have broken down between
Yeah, I don't know.
salary, wages, and their O&E. Their O&E, I see the 11,000, which is obviously the 10,000
Plus the 111,000.
plus the one, yeah, so that's how they get the 11,000 increase. Salaries and wages, it's only showing an increase of 6430. How is that?
What's that?
Under the salary line for library, under the appropriations, it's going from 40, well, it was, the budget adopted last year was 449, we committed 438, but they're asking for 455. So it's 6,000 over last year, but it's actually
Yeah,
18,000 over what they expended.
Yeah, all right.
See, again, they budgeted 449,
Right?
we paid or committed 438.
At 12/31.
Yes.
Now, for instance, the pages, if they're hourly employees, they would submit their vouchers and they wouldn't get paid until January or February of the following year, which is not included in this number. So any hourly employees would be paid through, as part of the
But
appropriation.
we're almost at the end of February, and we don't have any more.
That number, I don't have that number right here. Steve, do you have an appropriation reserve report which would show the additional salary and wages? So this is, remember, this column is just a 12/31 number.
Mhm. But that would be $11,000 difference we'd be expecting from hourly employees for the month of December.
Might be, it's high. There's always page money left over.
Mhm. Is there a request in the red book?
Yeah, I was looking for it too.
I didn't see it. My library tab has the debt policy in it, so.
No, yeah, we all did the same.
Because I just don't.
That's not the...
Alan, I want to make sense of some of these numbers. On the left-hand column, I say $668,976.16. Is that what we budgeted for them last year? Or is that what they spent?
What was that number, 6?
First column.
First column, fourth quarter,
Oh, that's...
total?
That's sort of a data column to calculate the pension cost. So that shows their quarterly pension contribution, which then frankly gets annualized. We develop a percentage based on the overall pension amount, and that gets applied to the pension bill, and that's how we come up with the pension amount for those employees.
So the 668, the 669 rounding, 609,000 is not what we budgeted or what they spent last
No,
year?
that's the fourth quarter pension report, annualized salaries only for the public employees retirement system.
What did we budget for them last year?
For pension,
No, for the third of a mil. What did we actually give them?
Well, we gave them,
right up here.
yeah, the
Well,
449.
it's not really easy for me to read that.
No, it'd be the 449
I mean,
under
is it easy for
salary
you to read that?
wages.
Alan, why don't you magnify, hit the
Outline,
plus button
yes.
on the bottom right. Bottom right.
Very, yeah.
Bottom,
All the way to the
right.
Oh, it's down here.
Yeah, hit plus.
With my work
Good.
contract.
Now scroll back left. You know, scroll, oh, good. That's
I'm
fine.
blank with that.
Okay, now, would you please tag, what line are we on, Ellen?
Sure. Let me get that. But I don't have
There it is.
Yeah.
Would you tag 123? Go furthest to left. Yeah, there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So we budgeted for them 449,000.
in salaries and then other expenses,
116.
116. Now, these two numbers. this
That's just,
number-
yeah, that doesn't include all the other extra
No, it
items.
doesn't include-
But that was what we budgeted.
That's the basic, yes, apples to apples.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to compare.
So
apples.
565,
565.
429, yeah.
And what are they asking for this year?
56,
455 plus
696,
127.
147, we're looking for 583, 859.
83, 859, which is an increase, I think, of 17,430.
Yep.
Okay, now I can see it. Thank you.
449.
And I'm asking for 709?
No, that's Alan adding everything.
That's when you add all
else.
the other costs on. This doesn't include the pension, all the other stuff. Those are separate line items.
He's adding all the costs that, for instance, if you were to break out what it costs to run the police department and then break out the gas and electric for them, if you were to say what to run Borough Hall and break out the gas and electric, DPW, he's breaking that out for this particular,
For this,
just for them, yeah.
but for this exhibit.
Yeah. So it's an increase of about 11%, thereabouts. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Yes, 9, 10, 11%,
Yeah.
yes.
And their
Ten.
employees, the number of employees are staying the same over there? Do we know that now?
I don't know what's
Did
in
they
his...
let people go, or?
And there's one you see open youth, so that might be a new hire.
So that's only about
Right above the
9,000.
pages.
And I'm sorry to, this is probably a repetitive question, I apologize. Why is there an increase of $6,430 on the salary and wage? I understand the $10,000, because that was a strategic plan and they came and talked about that. Why is there an increase of almost $6,500 on salary and wages?
Well, they have a 2% cost of living adjustment for the employees, plus the library director, they're adjusting his salary beyond the 2%.
Okay.
Only because I don't have it in front of me, Alan. How much are they requesting to adjust his salary?
But the numbers don't add, because if the
Well,
base salaries
that's why I asked if there's less
If the
employees.
base salaries are 449, 2% on that is already $9,000. They're only asking for a 6%, $6,000 increase
Plus,
on
I think they
the...
have that new youth position.
That's why I'm thinking there must be less employees, because how do you...
Well, I think they're looking, because you're adding, you have to go back to last year, there's another $11,000 difference from last year.
Yeah, but that was part of the strategic plan.
No, I mean the salary line. So
Oh,
they
okay.
wanted 449, they only spent 438.
Okay.
So that 6,000 increase is reflecting what we budgeted, but it's actually 17,000 because you have to go back to the number from last year that we budgeted.
Oh, okay.
You had a question?
Yes, can I ask how many people are employed by the library?
It's on that sheet, really. If you look at the, other than the pages.
14, 15, something.
You have to just...
Count all these
Or
line
just don't
numbers.
count them up.
Yeah.
15.
I know, I had to do the
15,
same thing. I was like,
14, yeah, that's what it looks like. I don't know how many pages they have, but those were part-time. I guess they pool those hours together. Because your 455, 699 tracks with their number, but that just shows a 2% just across the board for the employees. that all adds up.
About a $5,000 increase. I think it's a 6% increase.
For Derek.
Yes.
So then it looks like that then that open youth position was intended to be filled probably last year, and it wasn't.
Right.
So that would account for the difference between the 438, some of the 438 to 449, and then the rest is the 2%, and then his 6%. Yes.
I realize maybe splitting hairs, but my rationale is I wonder how sharp the pencil, but if I could,
Sure.
strategic plan, was any information provided as to what that would involve? I've worked on and been participating in strategic plans. They're held one day over a period of time, and
He had laid out a multi-year strategic plan. I couldn't tell you the details of it. I don't recall them.
It was more than just a planning day. It was.
No, it
what they were
was,
gonna buy.
his strategic plan, like, next year we're going to add the youth librarian, and then the year after that we were going to add this thing or that thing, or whatever. That, it was laid out like in those
just not
terms.
the activity. it had-
No, he had objectives associated for each year.
It was to restock the collection, too. I think they complained that the collection was falling behind.
Mhm.
And I believe this is the last year for that 10,000.
I don't know.
I think their plan went from 14 to 16. The additional 10,000 that you see on the sheet here.
I'm looking at the sheet that Alan gave us, Steve, and it has on here other expenses, and it has the 10,000 for the strategic plan, and then it has 111,000,
Mhm.
which is their miscellaneous, like what we need to pens, pencils.
Yeah, they're basic operating costs.
But this exhibit shows, what, 127?
Yes, because, and you see the 121,313?
Yes.
To that, we add, in the very bottom of this spreadsheet, lower left-hand corner,
Right.
maintenance, 5,850. So that's how I get to the...
So that's how you got to that?
Yeah, the 5,850 is actually for DPW,
Okay.
to do maintenance on the building when they
So
need it.
it goes in here and it comes out there?
So it shows up there in their other expense budget, 127. But I can't count it for the third of the mill.
No, okay.
Because it's
And the-
related to the building.
And the
That-
third of the mill this year was 557?
557, right.
Alan, that 5,800, that's for miscellaneous repairs?
Yeah, Darren calls, the gutters are falling down, or, please change the light bulbs, or, the toilet needs some fixing.
Total request?
Things like that.
Tom, what was the total request, the $500,000 number you had?
So,
The year before was 565.
429, this year is 583, 859. If I copied it down right, I think I did.
Alan, do you know the total, you got a total here of 709, and you said that includes everything. What was everything for
Grand
last year?
total with insurance.
For last year, yeah, that's what 709.
Do you want to know what last year's was?
Okay.
Compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
Babysitter.
720,965.
But no, I can write that like
So
a-
apples to apples, you're down,
About 10,000.
$11,000?
Do we want to do anything with this, or do you just want to revisit it later? We can, or just leave it and move forward?
I don't have any interest in doing anything with it at this time.
Neither do I.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, 6% salary increase is a little much considering, I guess, the rest of the employees are getting 2. But at the end of the day, I don't know how much that...
Well, we're not approving the increase.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, yeah. No, I
I want to
know.
say that for the record, Ms.
Yeah.
Braun. We're not approving the...
No, I know, that's
By the way.
But we are
They're
providing the
budgeting.
money for them to give them the increase. So
Yes.
essentially we are, because you're giving them the full amount
To do
allocate
it.
for it, so.
But, you know, I don't,
Yes.
at the end of the day, I don't
In fact,
know.
they have to come to you and ask for the increases, right?
No, they just ask us for a total budget. Alan splits it up.
But don't you
How-
have to authorize?
We don't authorize any specific increases, no. That's why the Board of Trustees will do that.
Yeah. We give them, this is your money, spend it how you...
Even the
see
way
fit.
Ellen has it broken out, if I understand correctly, salary, wages, and public library, that's for our accounting purposes. We're just, they don't have to follow that directive. They can do, once we give them the money, they can do with it as they see fit. We're not limiting it to those.
I'm being a little bit of a devil's advocate here, but, and being kind of maybe looking on the dark side, but they're decreasing the amount of money that they are taking in. Their quote income is going down to 709 from 720. So it's an $11,000 decrease, but yet they're increasing salaries by 6%. Which means they are taking it from someplace else. And their complaints over the past couple of years have been that they don't have enough money to maintain the collection and the facilities and the services that they want.
Well, that's one of their complaints.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of connectivity in the logic there.
Well, that's one of their complaints. They have also complained, I don't want to use the word complain, they have also spoken to the issue of providing an adequate service, especially when it comes to reference librarians, youth librarians. I don't know if you've been to the library in the afternoon, but the library is packed, and with all the different activities. And at night, they're down to 2 people, and they've been concerned about that. Now, I'm not saying that that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's the other part of the story. They're not simply saying that their stock is down, what the funds they have to buy stuff. But they've also been concerned about staffing. And they have, Dara has, I go to the library pretty much like every other week.
Yeah, but this isn't, what's presented to us, or what's been laid out, isn't addressing any of that. And in fact, the budget is going down from last year to this year by $11,000. And yet, unless there's some numbers in there that I'm not picking up on, we aren't talking apples to apples. And yet they seem to be deviating from their quote strategic plan, which was to build up their facilities and create the services. They seem to be moving that into a 6% salary increase.
I don't think that's what happened, but they would have to present that. I mean, I have had conversations with I just blanked on his name. Dara. I've had many conversations with Dara. He's come before us. Their board seems to have done a good job. We've been reading their minutes. I don't believe that's what's happening. It could simply be the way it's being presented in our spreadsheet system. I'm not defending it. I'm just simply saying that every conversation I've had does not seem to lead to that conclusion. But listen, you're a Citizen Budget Committee. We can bring Dara in and explain it at our next meeting, and that would be a perfectly legitimate thing for you to request, and I would be comfortable with that. I don't know if anybody else would, but that would be fine with me.
Alan?
I'm just looking at it side by side, and the difference that I see is in the health benefits. Last year, they had 3 individuals who took plans that were in excess of $20,000 and 1 health waiver for $5,000. This year, they have 2 plans in excess of $20,000 and 2 health waivers to $5,000 each. So
So
that seems to
so
be
the difference is not their necessarily their budgeting or how they're spending the
No, it
money.
happens to be-
It happens to be the...
Somebody
Okay.
had improved their health coverage.
There's
and
an
we got the benefit
explanation.
of
Yeah.
reducing the expenses.
Okay.
Okay, so before we run out of time, Alan, I guess we...
Back to Hackensack Avenue, I
Yeah.
have the ordinance in front of me from this particular report. Does show $400,000 available from this ordinance. So if you want to reappropriate that for the community center that you had in your budget,
Let me ask two other things before we do that.
sure.
I don't know if we have the final numbers, but go back to the landfill number, 324652. I know we don't have the final number on it, but
Well, we did get a price increase, I think I put that correspondence
Yes,
in your,
yes.
I don't see where it's going to make that much of a difference, but, where's that landfill?
32,
32.
yeah, 32, 4652.
You're at,
We're at 275.
275.
So I'm just wondering if there's room to bring that down a little bit more.
There is.
What do you want to bring down it?
There's a package I'm looking at. I'm wondering whether we should also be reducing what we did for COA, because I don't remember the number we actually wanted to put in for COA with Suarez.
I did give you a handout on that.
And
You want me to post out COLA, or?
I'm just trying to get them all aggregated. I said I'm trying to...
Well, just real quick, Alan, do you want us to do something on open space real quick before?
I'd like to know what this group feels about that listing, because believe it or not, the open space is part of the budget package that has to go down, so, definitely you'll need to pass resolutions on March 7th. So if that's something you're comfortable with at this point.
I have a question, and I apologize, I was not able to be here on Saturday. I had a prior commitment, and I haven't had a chance to go to the YouTube and watch what we did. Have we currently put enough towards KGB lighting that the lighting will move forward? Are we good with
Yes.
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's whether we're going to take more out of, we can reduce the capital and put more back in here based on them reducing their other requests. We're still showing, all right, so the park maintenance, are these,
I think we've reduced, they've withdrawn some requests,
Yeah.
and that's already been reallocated to KBG.
Is that,
It's reflected here.
that's reflected here?
I mean, the capital might go down more if we're able to reappropriate
yeah.
the open space from the county that was requested, but
Right.
we don't know
Yeah, but now,
about that right now.
but we're still have, how much do we have in our capital?
For that, I think it's about 50,000.
Around 50?
Going down to 50,000.
Because here we have 20,
So at the end of the day, I mean, that amount may be, zero, but we don't, we're close to it.
well, but we have
Yeah, if
70,
we
we
get
have
it,
we have
but we don't-
75,000 in open space right now.
Yeah.
We started only needing 100 total. So, again, reducing 50,000 on the capital
Yeah,
doesn't do
no.
much for us, but
But in terms of the open space, I mean, I think these are pretty
they're pretty
solid
set.
numbers.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, do you need a motion
You want to do
from
it
us
as
for a
consent?
resol-
You can do it as a
Yeah,
consent.
if you move
and-
it and approve it, then I'll, place resolutions mirroring this in front of the council on March 7th. And then you still have time, you can change that.
We can change it, yeah.
But if you want to just do it as a consent, as long as everybody's okay with it as a package, then just do it as consent.
Yeah,
and then-
I mean, I would make that,
Alan, Bobby's email earlier today about that 2013 lightning detection, doesn't impact this, that's a
No,
separate
and
authorization.
talking to Bobby, I know it's my preference to try and maintain that
Right, and-
for any sort of repairs that might come up to the system. We're the lead agency for a couple of other towns, so we need to have funds available, and be able to make repairs. She has repairs to make out of that 12,000, but then that would leave a little bit more money in case something came up and she had to do something to repair it.
Just wanted to make the council aware that she had originally thought
Yes.
maybe we could take that, but she's recommending, and I think Alan is agreeing with her, and I do as well, we leave that 2013 allocation in place for that.
But you're allowed to use open space money to repair equipment?
Well, it's maintenance, it's a park facility, you know, it's a maintenance, I'm looking at it as maintenance of parks. It's equipment that is part of the park, it's a public park system, so.
So, close the loop there.
So I would make the motion to, do you need one, motion
Just do
as a whole?
consent, yeah, just do
All right,
like a...
consent on
the whole
the...
allocations as listed or something?
Yeah, the allocation as listed in the sheet you provided tonight.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the allocations reflected are, will be listed, we're going to...
Thank you, Mayor.
Up to the change.
Take care of resolutions.
I guess that maybe I can push this to Alan and give him a little challenge between the landfill, Mr. Suarez, you know, if we can try to push the budget down a little bit more and see what you might be comfortable doing.
Well, on
Don't
Mr.
do it tonight.
Suarez, and I believe we gave you a sheet in front of you on that as well. We've spent, and that says vendor history on it, Anthony Suarez, and we boxed the expenses that we have to date. That's about $8,500, and we also gave you the invoices in case you want to see what kind of work that's been going on. But regardless of that, that $8,000 is all charged to the prior year. And in January of this year, we came to you looking for an amendment to his contract for 2016. So you did approve by resolution $5,000 out of the legal account for any work he might have in 2016. We took out the COA planner from engineering, that has zero in it. We left in legal the COA planner for $5,000. For the master who was overseeing the whole process, we left $5,000. And now you basically have $5,000 for the attorney. So, you know, you have $15,000 there for COA expenses. That's where we stand.
Then we're not going to do anything with that. My other question goes to the $20,000 we put in for deductibles for the 7-Eleven situation. What is the situation if we did not have that budgeted and we lost and we had to pay it? Does that become an emergency appropriation, or could
No,
it?
because we're sitting here discussing it now. So an emergency is unforeseen.
Well, but you don't know if you're going to.
If it was court-ordered somehow, a judgment, then that could be considered a different situation. But, you know, if you have a settlement out of this issue and it's not part of any sort of order of the court, then, you know, this is a liability that we have. Whether you pay
But it's a liability, but it's based on, you don't...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, that's $20,000 I think we're throwing in here for nothing. That's wind up.
Do you want to reduce it?
Well, I don't know, I'm just, Alan's, I guess his recommendation is saying no, but I'm just saying that I don't know why we're paying for it when you don't know what the outcome of the situation is going to be. And I don't know why we would be expected to anticipate that.
Well, we signed a reservation of rights
Yes.
letter.
And that reservation of rights letter has a $20,000
Yeah, it says
price
we're
tag.
responsible for a $20,000 copay plus another 20% if the expenses go over $250,000.
I understand now.
You know,
I don't
we
remember.
don't expect anything like that, you know, and that's why we have 2 court cases, we actually took one of them out. So your legal budget is back where it was
Yeah.
last year.
Okay.
You know,
Then I would look at the landfill line, and then I
the
guess we'll...
landfill, you know, if you need to bring that down a little bit,
Yeah.
that could be done. Where are we? We're at
275.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So we only paid or committed $183,855. Is that the final number, Ellen?
Probably not. So we'd have to find out.
No, probably not. Probably have maybe one more bill,
Yeah.
maybe another $20,000 bill on
So
top.
I was, we might go to 250 on that, lower it by 25.
So moved.
250?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alan can find me $5,000 more, and we can get below 50.
Well, why don't we just reduce this to 245 then?
No,
Well, you know,
there might be a couple of, we don't have to do it right now. I'm saying that, you know,
I agree.
I went through, you know, I sorted through by budget and by, you know, what the biggest increases are. We know what the biggest ticket items were this year.
Mhm.
So, you know, we're trying to squeeze the smaller ones as much as we can, but we don't want to get completely unreasonable about it.
So what are we down to, $53 now?
$53.
And what's our increase over last year? Because I can't see anything today.
$53 increase.
No, what's the percent?
On the levy, where's the,
The budget is going up, is that less than 1%?
no, 50, oh, the budget itself is probably close to 1%.
Now you're down
Yeah, less than a
to
percent. That's really
which is,
good. 53 on
about
31.
86.
And you're looking at a tax increase of about 1.7% average. So, it's,
Not great, but it's good.
yeah, somewhere between good and great.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're not to zero, so, but I'm hoping next year, when surplus comes up, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna capture 38,000 from the assessment, which we don't have to pay next year, right, Alan? So that's gonna come off next year. The special emergency, this is the last year for that.
That was the last year for that, that
The
32,000, correct.
The DEP loan is almost finished, so that's coming to an end. And we've already absorbed that $40,000 increase for the short-term note. We don't know what's going to happen with salaries. We're hoping that with the regular steps and with the regular increases, it shouldn't be as impactful as it was this year. Because, you know, for all the talk about pensions and all that, they went up, but that's not really the reason.
I mean,
And I'll make my case again about BCUA with their $50,000 increase this year, and I still don't know why they're not held to this 2% cap. I'll just keep saying it again until somebody listens.
I mean, it's a fairly minor thing, but we really have to look at water usage this year. I mean, it went up, I mean, it looks like last year you budgeted $19,650, and $26,000 was spent on
Well,
water.
we know where that
That's-
is, and that was the tree farm, and John Lynch has gotten the data.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of water.
Every little pot has its own little drip line. So it uses a lot of water. But we just gotta hope that utility costs stay where they've been, and do any of the citizens have any other comments, questions, suggestions? Are we happy with 53? Do we want to go lower? I mean, what do you... No, I'm...
No, I think that, I just hope the citizens of the area realize that's only the municipal portion and they don't complain. Because I think it's great, bravo to all of you. And they don't complain about the other pieces, which they always do, I understand.
Is it our year to get hit more on the Riverdale side, or is it Oradell?
Last year...
What I understand...
Last year was Oradell.
Yeah, it was very good.
It's equalized, well, they have the reassessment, so it's equalized, but I don't know to what...
Campaign,
beginning to
tax
review it.
increase is over 90% from last year's.
You know, Mayor, I would remind the council and the citizens that when you look at the formula, they look at the elementary enrollment first, and they allocate the equalized value first based on the elementary enrollment. Right? And then the rest becomes the middle school and the high school. So when you look at that, if you had growth relative to Oradell, your elementary population, you know, you're gonna end up paying less of that. And I think when you look at the actual formula, that's part of the dynamic that happens. So
Well, wait, so if we have more kids in our school, we end up paying less?
in the elementary school.
Yeah, we have more kids going to
But
Roosevelt.
remember, that fluctuates, that, you know, each year that fluctuates. Very quick fluctuates. So, that's part of it.
I know last year, River Edge
We
So
made that-
reduction,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. I don't know how it all...
Riverdale went down.
Yeah, it went down, yeah, that's what I'm saying, it went down for...
Let's just, some housekeeping now. Do we want to bring the library, or do you want to just leave it for now?
I mean,
Because we can go with this and as the introduction, we can call it, we can go with this as tonight for introduction. That still gives us some time between introduction and final adoption if we want to call anybody in and ask any more questions if we feel we need to modify
It has to be at
anything.
least 28 days after the introduction.
So we have time after the introduction. So if we want to make a motion that we accept this as the budget for introduction, we can do that and then dispense with any further budget meetings.
I would make that motion.
Are we still have the open question of that ordinance of reallocating the Hackensack Avenue?
We can do that afterwards, yeah. I mean, it really won't have a material effect unless we take the whole thing out.
Right.
That is $17,000 reduction.
Yeah.
So that could bring us another,
I mean, well,
that's another $5. So
I mean, I would think,
Oh, that's under 50?
yeah, that would get rid of the
I
50.
mean, that-
I mean, I think we should, I mean, I think that money's been, it's been there for a long,
And why should the rest
long
of the
time.
The only caveat would be there'd be no extra money if the total cost of a potential building exceeds what we've allocated.
So it's why we moved 3?
So we can maybe, or just cut it in half, or,
yeah.
Replace that amount?
I don't understand what you mean, any building,
but like right now, we
wouldn't have
if we
a
leave this,
bond
we have 750. Suppose it came in at 850, we wouldn't have that extra $100,000 to award a contract.
okay.
So it leaves us a little less flexibility, that's all.
Okay.
Want to take it, I would take it an hour or after introduction, I don't know. It's up,
We could
Well,
reallocate some of it now, right?
250?
250, and that would bring us down.
Yeah, I would
Make a motion to reallocate $250,000 from the Hackensack Avenue project to the community center.
I would second that.
yes.
Can I just make a comment about this? I know that project has been on the books for a long time, probably over 5, maybe 7 years.
Yep.
And it's been one of these things that just has never gone anywhere.
I personally don't think it is going to go anywhere.
But what would happen if all of a sudden the county comes up and says, we're going to rebuild that road, we're going to do this, we're going to change that junk handle around?
They can't do it without us buying the properties.
And we don't have an interlocal agreement yet.
How much time do you have to use the money?
The way
To do what has
the way
to be done.
the project was not being initiated by the county. They were letting the borough take the lead, meaning that we had to get all the easements, we had to do all the acquisitions, and then once we got all of that, then they would proceed with the construction. This is not on their high priority, or else they would have been funding it themselves. The other thing to remember is out of that $500,000 we talked about this morning, Alan, wasn't there a couple $100,000 in there for potential sewer improvements also?
That's what the 400,000 is
And,
for.
that's to service because right now the sewer, for the batting cage, the gas station, it runs along the tracks and then comes in behind Elizabeth Street. Part of the proposal, which has nothing to do with the widening of the street, was to redirect the sewer down Hackensack Avenue, figuring if you're going to reconstruct the street, then put a sewer in at the same time. But that would something that would certainly be either part of a developer's agreement for somebody in the future, or other ways to fund that. To us to save the money and in perpetuity.
I don't see why we just don't take all 400,000 out. I don't see what the value is to leave it
The
in.
concern here is that
Good point. We should do
if that
some
part of town,
in case the project goes up.
Yeah, but if the project goes up, we say to the county, you guys got to put in more because you've been...
No, we're talking about the community center.
I mean, if you want to...
Yes, that's
We
what
want a
you
little
wanna put-
flexibility in case the estimates come in.
Yeah, we don't want to lock
somewhat
ourselves
higher than
to
what
a...
we're budgeting.
I see what you're
That's
saying.
what we're...
Sorry,
that's
I
what
lost
he's-
that thread.
I mean, you could drain it, though, for other projects.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
that you could do. If you
All right.
want, if you...
So we took out
But if we-
250, left in
But-
150.
Yeah.
Well, we still haven't voted on it, but it's been moved and seconded.
the idea of that project, the Hackensack project, to ease traffic in the event of, or in anticipation of, a growth spurt in the southern end of town.
No, this project has nothing to do with helping River Edge. It's to help the county. You're talking about alignment of two county roads. By adding a second traffic signal at Grand, I can't imagine any scenario how that helps the Borough River Edge. Because all you do now, instead of having traffic chock-a-block on Main Street going to Route 4, you're going to have traffic coming down Main Street and Grand, getting to the same choke point at Route 4. And like I've always said, is that until the county and the state figures out a way to fix that choke point at Marginal Road and Route 4, it makes absolutely no sense to change anything on Hackensack Avenue. And I still maintain that.
My whole,
That's where
the
traffic
whole
backs
point
up.
of this conversation
Yep.
is that I would hate to have you take that money, reallocate it someplace else for a good purpose. I don't disagree with the purpose of it. But then all of a sudden come up next year, 2 years, 5 years from now and say, hey guys, we gotta come up with another $500,000, and that's just gonna annihilate your budget.
Yeah, but we tell the county no.
Okay.
We can tell the county no.
Well,
If the county, it's two county roads, it says, it doesn't, I agree with Ed 100%. He's spot on. It doesn't help River Edge. The choke point is still the choke point until they really look towards the entire flow, which is a much bigger project and would take a lot of engineering. It's not going to happen in the next 5 years. I don't think it's going to happen in the
And
next 10
it's not
years.
even, and the other choke point you have to remember, they'll never fix, is heading to New Milford. So making Hackensack Avenue 6 lanes, heading north, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I don't see the benefit. All they do is they're going to take away 30 feet from the Newbridge Landing Park. You can see where the fence line is. You know, so they're taking property away from them. To make that wider, it's going to make it that much harder for any pedestrian crossing if you ever want to look at pedestrian improvements. And again, you have that choke point heading towards New Milford. You have the problem at Main Street. I think, you know, if anything ever comes of any redevelopment down there, you would certainly have to get contributions from the developers to either do some improvement specifically at Grand or at Main. But like I said, until you address that, you know, that knot at the end of Main Street there, it's not going to fix anything.
Again, I just want to get it out on the table.
And your other point out is that if we get the feeling that this is going to have to happen, we just start reallocating money again in the future. We could put 100,000 or 200,000 and do it that way also. So anyway, so what's the...
We had a motion.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
So now we'll change this
And then that will...
we'll look at, it's 5,000. This is 90.
51.
I should have checked yours.
Oh, 49.
There you go. There you go.
Now, we have a motion second to just introduce this.
We have a motion.
I'd make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to say aye, too.
All right.
So, thank you to the citizens.
Thank you, thank you. Teresa.
So we're not meeting...
Monday night.
So we're done?
No. This will be the budget introduction. If anybody has any other suggestions after introduction, we certainly can do something. On the flip side, it may have to come up if something new comes up that we're not aware of.
Yes,
So,
the 29th, yes or no?
No.
No.
This is it. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh, we adjourned. You just walked out.